What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here. It's been almost 2 months since I started using the HTC One, and in that time, I have learned a ton more about the phone. So in the initial review, I said it was one of the best phones I've ever tested, and one of the only phones I would happily sign a 2-year contract for. Is that still the case? Stick around and find out. So one of the things I really loved about the phone when I did my initial review was the build quality. I loved the all aluminum feel of the phone. I love the construction. I liked the way it felt in the morning when I picked it up, but it was cold. And that hasn't changed at all. The phone has held up really nicely over the past few months. In fact, it's even survived a few drops. And I don't use a case on my phone at all. So the drops have been fine. It landed on the corner, one landed on the front with really no issues at all. Some people have been reporting quality issues with the HTC One, gaps around the screen. I haven't had any such issues at all. Build quality has really been outstanding, and it surprisingly held up as well as the phone did from the first time I used it. Alright, so let's jump from build quality to battery life. There's been a lot of concern about battery life. When I first started testing it, battery life was actually fine for me. I was able to get through a full day with between 20 to 30-ish% of battery life, and for the most part, that's held true. I haven't had any sort of battery degradation. My use has gone down a little bit, but the battery percentage that I've used at the end of the day still stays the same. And again, my usage usually comes off the charger around 7:30. Goes back on the charger around 11:30. It's connected to Wi-Fi most of the day, whether I'm at home or in the office. 2-ish hours of phone call, pulling in 2 email accounts that are being checked every 5 minutes. An hour or so phone call, some social media, some video watching, and all that. And the battery life still is able to get through a full day. So nice for HTC. So you don't need to worry if you're concerned about battery life. Sometimes what you read in the forums are very vocal minority. People that have a problem, so one that make a big deal out of it. But for the most part, this phone has been absolutely outstanding for me. And speaking of outstanding, the speakers on this guy, boom sound, are still ridiculous. For somebody who watches a lot of video on their phone, every time I hear it, it is just surprising. In fact, one time I was using the phone and I pulled it away from my face a little bit and it deactivated the proximity sensor and my cheek hit the speakerphone and I thought I was going to go deaf. The thing is so loud. I gotta turn the volume down at almost half in order to make it comfortable. So if you want a phone that's got a loud speakerphone, sounds great when you're watching video or music, this is absolutely the way to go. And it's not just loud by volume standards. The bass sounds really good in it. This is hands down the best speakerphone I've ever seen. So HTC did a killer job with boom sound. And of course, that's just augmented with the Beats technology in there as well. So yeah, for that. The speed of the phone has been absolutely blazing fast. You'd expect that with a quad-core phone. I've had no slowdown whatsoever since I've used it. Haven't had any sort of weird memory leaks or anything. The phone is as fast as it is now as it was on day one. So really no issue there at all. The same quirks though that I've had when I first started using the phone, I still have right now. The button layout, I cannot for the life of me understand why there's a huge HTC logo in the middle that I can't touch. It has been infuriating. But fear not, there's actually a way to kind of make that HTC logo act almost like a home button. Our very own managing editor Roy Choi found an app called Swipe Home Button that works almost like a regular home button. All you gotta do is instead of tapping it, you gotta sort of swipe up a little bit and it'll take you back to your home screen. So it works pretty well. That's gotten rid of some of my gripes. The other gripes I have though is multitasking. I like the way it looks on here, the whole grid layout. You can see a ton of applications. I don't like having to double tap to get to it. I would have liked to have just had one single button like every other Android phone out there. And I don't like having to close every one individually. A close all would have been super nice to have here. Some other gripes, occasionally the phone can get super warm and it's no really rhyme or reason when it happens. It's not when it's looking for a network or dropping from LTE to HSPA+. It happens just very randomly and sporadically, maybe once every 2 weeks. The phone will get really, really warm. I'll take it out of my pocket and I'll put it down and eventually it'll start to cool itself down. There's a huge battery drain obviously when that happens. No, not sure why. And again, it's not so regular, but it is happening. Another gripe I'm having is with the GPS. I'm not sure it's because of the aluminum construction or what, but I am not able to lock into a GPS signal very quickly and sometimes not even at all. So whether or not I'm using Foursquare or Google Maps, something else that uses the GPS radio, it's just not that good. It'll eventually lock in and it works fine once it does, but logging in and getting that first connection has been really slow and slower than almost every other phone I've connected. So if you rely really heavily and you need quick GPS, you may want to look elsewhere. So when I started using this phone, I did the initial review, I said this is the first phone since the iPhone 4 I would happily sign a 2-year contract for. And I absolutely feel that same way right now. I love the phone. This is my daily daily drive when I'm not testing something new. This is a phone I pick up. This is what goes into my pocket. I love the way the phone feels. It performs great. I really like actually the way Sense is laid out here. It's not as heavy as previous versions. The email application I think works very well. I don't use Blink Feed all that much. It hasn't changed. I've got it relegated a few pages over. I like the way the apps are laid out. I like that you can change the grid size. I like that you can arrange by alphabetical order. And this is one of the first Android phones I haven't had to use a custom launcher for, surprisingly. It's not rooted or anything else. It's the way it came right out of the box, and I really like it. So hats off to you, HTC. If you're thinking about getting a new phone and you're not sure which one's right for you, you owe it yourself to look at the HTC One. If you want to check out the Galaxy S4 as well, be sure to check out our HTC One versus Galaxy S4 video. You can check it out right here. Of course, the link is going to be down below as well to really figure out which flagship Android phone is right for you. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please give the video a thumbs up. We'd most definitely appreciate it. Check us out at technobuffalo.com for the latest and greatest tech news. I am John Rettinger. I'll see you next video.